Hello, everyone. This is Steve Bennett from Special Mix, Maryland. I want to welcome everyone to the preseason webinar for the Coaches for Golf. So hopefully that's what you're on tonight. If you're a coach for another sport, you are welcome to stay on. But again, this will be for all the season information and leading up to the state championships for golf. On the line, we also have Mike Sarnowski, Vice President of Sports, and he'll be joining us as well to talk about some of the coaching certifications. And again, we welcome everyone. We'll go ahead and get started. And just as a reminder, this webinar is being recorded. We will post this, which we'll talk about in a minute, on our website and our coaches resource page. And we'll send the slide deck out to all of the coaches that we have correct email addresses for, so be on the lookout for that. But if you do have a question as we go throughout the webinar, you can look at the panel. You can either click the hand button, which indicates you're raising your hand for a question, and also you can type in questions, and we'll address those as we go throughout. We also have Zach Cintron, one of our sports directors, who is monitoring those questions, and throughout the webinar, he will stop if there's a question. We'll address it if we know the answer, and we'll move on from there. So, again, just some things we're going to go over tonight. Again, we welcome everyone. Appreciate all of your dedication to the athletes and the program. We'll go over the coaches' requirements with Mike, talk about the trainings. I'll mention the golf mailing list. That's basically just an email list of everyone that we'll be sending information out to throughout the season. Let you know who's on the golf management team, and then we'll review some of the Special Mix Maryland events coming up, as well as some new rules, and talk a little bit about the state championships. And then we'll see if there's any questions. So a reminder, hopefully this is not new to anyone, but if there's a new coach on the line, this may be new. Just remember that no athlete can participate without a current medical form on file. And as coaches, it's your responsibility to have access to that at practices and everything, just in the case of an emergency. And obviously all the volunteers and coaches need to have all of their paperwork and certifications and background checks and everything else in place as well. So again, no athlete should be participating in practice or anything without a current valid medical form on file. So you can check with your leadership and make sure all that's in place. So again, the area leadership within your given county or program will have all the information for the athletes, the partners, coaches, and all that information. We will also do some communications out to the area leadership and include some coaches on some of that information to give you updates on any certifications that are still needed or that there's questions about. So again, just talk with the area leadership and double check on everything. Make sure you as a coach are in compliance and also have the information you need for your athletes and partners. So at this point, again, talking about some of the requirements for coaches, Mike, if you're able, I'm going to hand it over to you for a quick second and take the next couple slides.
Sure, Steve. Thank you. Can you hear me?
I can.
Okay. So hopefully everyone saw the communications we've been making over the last year, that there has been a change in the sports certification requirement for Special Olympics. Maryland, it's across the country, and Maryland is very supportive. It's actually, in the long run, a good thing, and we are looking forward to continuing to adhere to it and get our coaches as knowledgeable and ready to coach as we possibly can and to benefit our athletes. So for coaches, as is typically the case, they need to complete what's called the Class A background or volunteer screening, and that has a background with that, background check. The Protect Your Behaviors screening, as well as complete the concussion training. Those are all the same as have been for many, many years. For head coaches, they have to have completed a golf sport certification and have it valid through the state tournament, which is September 29th of this year. If you have an existing golf sports certification that's valid through that date, then you're fine. Any change here does not rescind or remove any existing certification that's valid through that time. If, however, you do not, either you've never gotten a sports certification for golf, or yours has expired, you do need to renew it. So if you are brand new and need to get and have never had a golf certification, there are actually two things that you need to complete to get that. One is coaching Special Olympics athletes, or CSOA, and one is the completion of a golf sport course. So Steve, I think, will note one that was held earlier. There's an online version, and there's the potential that we could schedule another one if the need actually is there. We can schedule another one in the future. Sorry, what's not noted on here is for assistant coaches, if they complete the Coaching Special Olympics Athletes course, that takes care of the certification that they need for that. And again, this has been communicated out numerous times throughout the year. We'll be sending more information out again, or reminders, and links to the certification opportunities are available on the coach resource pages, which I know Steve will reference later in this slide deck. And of course, the slide deck will go out to you. So again, this is sort of a reminder of this. If they have no previous sports certification, you need either Coaching Special Olympics Athletes. It says or Principles of Coaching, but it hasn't really been offered. That we will be offering that at some point in the fall. And then the sports-specific session. If you have a previous certification and you need to renew that, if yours is expired or will expire before September 29th, you need to complete either a general Special Olympics training course, and there's a number of the different options listed on that site, and also at the end of this slide deck, or one, actually, Steve, if you go back, please, thank you, or a sports-specific learning opportunity. However, if you have never taken Coaching Special Olympics Athletes, then you need to renew your certification, then you must take that Coaching Special Olympics Athletes course. That's available live. We have 2 live sessions being hosted here at Special Olympics headquarters in the next month and a half or so. That's available online and such. But again, if you've never taken Coaching Special Olympics Athletes and you need to renew, you have to take that course for this time. You only have to take it once, but we want to be sure that over time, all of our coaches have taken and completed that course. It's an excellent course, very valuable, even if you've been an experienced coach for some time. Okay. Now, Steve, if you want to go ahead. As a note, where did you? There we go. Steve's screwing with my mind here. Protected behavior certification, you're all familiar with this. This has been in place for a bit. The reason we point this out, that there has been a change in the process for that. You still click on the link there and any of the links that's available. Now it is being handled, currently at least, through the Special Olympics Learning Portal, which you need to create an account for. And again, in the long range, it's a good thing, but there's some confusion points here. One of the key things, if you do need to do that, is be sure when you sign up for your account on the Learning Portal that you select protective behaviors as your learning area. Do not select sport. You'll eventually be able to get to protective behaviors if you select sport, but it's just going to cause some challenges. We are discussing some options for some alternatives with the area directors at the area director meeting that's being held this Saturday. So there may be some additional information, but just want to make sure folks are aware. The course is the same as it's always been, takes about 10 minutes. There's a short, I think, 10 or 11 question quiz at the end, and you're good to go. Okay, next slide, Steve, which I think is on concussion training. Yep, so no changes on this. Again, it needs to be renewed every 3 years. This has been in place now for almost 4 years. So it should be pretty straightforward. I'm not going to beat you over the head with it. But it is absolutely essential for coaches. Actually, a question that's come up is, what about unified partners? Because at least in golf, a lot of times unified partners are serving a coaching role, but they are registered as unified partners. For unified partners, while we strongly encourage the concussion certification, it is not a requirement. Unified partners only need to have their volunteer, their Class A volunteer application and such, and their protected behaviors. Again, we strongly encourage you to get the concussion certification, but if your role is as a unified partner, that is not a requirement. Okay, Steve? This is just a graphic. Thank you to Janet Larimore from Howard County, who put together there's been a couple different graphic versions of the new layout of the sport training. This kind of takes you through what's required at each level. You'll notice there's the general volunteer, which again is just the volunteer orientation, the application, and the protective behaviors. There's a new category called a sport volunteer. That's for the person who is actively involved with the sports program, not quite at the level of a coach. Certainly would include a sport coordinator. There's there's a little bit of a gray area, but it's that person who's much more engaged from a sport level in the training program. That person would need to get the concussion course as well. Then the assistant coach, again, would need all that, plus coaching Special Olympics athletes, or I didn't say this in the other one, they could take coaching unified sports if they're working in a sport that is exclusively unified. And golf, depending upon your program, may well be exclusively unified. For head coaches, there's the CSOA, or Coaching Special Olympics Athletes, and then, excuse me, as well as the sports-specific course. And then the advanced coach, which you really don't worry about, but that includes the Principles of Coaching course, which we'll be looking at adding in the future. And Steve, I guess you take from here. I'm going to go ahead and mute unless there's anything you need from me.
No, thank you very much, Mike. Appreciate that. So yeah, as Mike was saying, one of the in-person sports-specific trainings we offered back on Saturday, June 29th, had a couple people come out for that. Hopefully those who attended felt it was valuable. And again, we went over a lot of the sports-specific stuff for golf. So those who attended that, I have updated the records here in our office so that you have that sports-specific certification completed, and that will go for another 3 years. So again, as Mike mentioned, we did not see a need currently to offer another one, as we do have the online option. But if we do see the need, we'll revisit that. One of the things we always look at is we have a code of conducts for coaches, for volunteers, for family members, all the way down the line. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this, but the biggest thing here is respect for all. As coaches, athletes look to you, partners look to you as your mentality, your leadership, and how you present yourself, not only at practices, but out in public when you're going to lunch, dinner, movies, whatever, with the athletes and partners, and also obviously when you're at competition. So, it's respect for all other competitors, athletes, partners, other coaches, the officials on site, any volunteers, other family members, the management, whether it's Special Olympics staff or the games management team. So again, obviously just always keep in mind that people look to you as a leader, and your conduct is being observed by others. So, I'm not going to spend too much time. Here it is, just act professionally, etc. So you'll have these slide decks just to review that and share with your other coaches to make sure everybody's acting appropriately. So we just don't want to have any issues. And again, it's always about health and safety for the athletes as well. So we just want to talk about some of the registration deadlines for the state tournament coming up. So all the training information with all of the athletes, partners, coaches, getting everything in through the area leadership is due August 15th. And then on the 22nd, that's after we do a review to see if there's any missing forms or questionable forms or expirations or whatever. We will communicate back out to say, hey, this is the last date. Here's what's missing. Please get it back into us by the 22nd. And one of the things there is just a reminder, as Mike mentioned earlier, the certifications for coaches as well as the athletes and partners, background checks and medicals all need to be valid through the 29th of September. That's obviously the date of the state championships. We'll make sure everyone is at least good to go through that date. And then the competition registration deadline, that's the final information as far as submitting your scores, your times, what levels, making sure everything's in. We can report that back out to the coaches and the area leadership, make sure that everyone's on the same page, and get ready to have a great state championship. So here's the events. Again, hopefully this isn't new to any of the veteran coaches, but if there are any new coaches, again, level 1, will be offered all the way through level 5. So level 1, the individual skills. Level 2 is the alternate shot 9-hole unified with their partner. Level 3 is alternate shot 18-hole with their partner. Level 4 is the individual athlete playing by themselves on the 9-hole. And level 5 is all 18 holes. So again, if numbers continue to roll the way they have the past couple of years, we're looking at about 200 athletes, about 100 unified partners. That's within all levels. So again, we've done some great building of the program last couple of years, and we hope to be able to get everybody in this year. So the golf mailing list, like I said, that's just a distribution list. If you do not get an email from me, again, Steve Bennett, by the end of the week, please contact me and let me know. I know some people change email addresses, some have been lost in the database or whatever. They're at the program level, or there's brand new coaches that we may not have received an email address. So we just want to make sure that we have all the email addresses that we're able to communicate to you guys in a timely fashion and open up that line of communication. So again, if you don't get an email from me by the end of the week, that's my email address right there. Just email me, let me know what county you're with, what role you have with the golf program, and I'll add you to the distribution list and make sure everything's up to date in our database. So again, we'll send out some information about the qualifying events, etc. So the golf management team, just want to recognize a lot of the individuals here who make up the golf management team that look at the sport as a whole and help run the state championships as well. So Mike Cumberpatch is our rules official from the USGA. Stephen Sommerfelt Jr. is an athlete representative from Anne Arundel County. Chuck Helmuth is a coach from Montgomery County. Bill Lowe is a unified partner and coach from St. Mary's County. Marty Parks, who serves as our rules official from the USGA. Bob Baker, who's a unified partner, area director, and what's not mentioned on here is father from Howard County. And Kendall Zeswitz, who most of you would know. If there's anybody new, you may not know this, but she was on staff as a sports director formerly here at the state office. She has moved on to a new job path, but is staying involved on a volunteer level for bocce, golf, we think powerlifting as well, just depends on her work schedule. But she will not be able to be at the state championships due to a conflict with her work, but she is staying involved and helping with the season as it moves forward. So qualifying for the state tournament, again, as we talked about all the forms and certifications and all the deadlines we just mentioned a little earlier, and we also have that every athlete or team needs to compete in at least 2 qualifiers or qualifying competitions. So we'll hit on those in a second. What that doesn't mean is that, hey, if I have an athlete and a partner playing level 2 or level 3, and they can only make one as a team, but the athlete gets a new partner on the next one, that doesn't count as 2, that counts as 1 for that athlete with 2 different partners. So they still need to get another one in. We've had that question come up quite a bit. So the team component of level 2 and 3, the athlete and the partner, must stay together throughout the season and go to 2 qualifying competitions. That is a minimum. So the more the athletes and partners, and you guys know as coaches, the more they're out on the field of play and competing and going through the course, the better apt they're going to be to perform at a higher level throughout the season and at the state championship. So that is the bare minimum we want people doing. The more the merrier and the better for everyone involved. So work with your county leadership. And again, there may be some limitations based on the qualifying competitions due to just tee times and availability. But the more you can get out on the course, we highly, highly, highly recommend that. So here's the sanctioned competitions that we have as of today. So you'll see the list here, a couple at St. Mary's, Anne Arundel, Montgomery, Howard, and Frederick counties. These are the ones that we have received sanction forms for, meaning that they're in our list, we've got all the information needed, and it is a 100% go from the state office perspective. It shows the levels here. This is also available on our coaches resource page on our website that Mike mentioned, and we'll give you those links in just a second. And then if you're in another program or within one of these programs, that you know that there's some coming up, talk with the area leadership. Make sure they give those sanction forms to me so we can make them official on the website and others. So these are ones that I've been told most likely will be happening. Like Howard County, they know they're going to be at Fairway Hills either 24th or 25th of August, just waiting for that final documentation. But these others are listed. Again, there's been communication saying we're going to host it, but I haven't received anything. So if you're from one of those counties, just talk with the area leadership and say, hey, we were mentioning the qualifying competitions. Make sure we get that sanction form into Steve, and you hit them from your end. I'll hit the area leadership from my end, and we'll get this all ready to go so you guys can plan out your season. And again, those are just ones that I've been made aware of at some level or another. If there's others, by all means, the more competitions we have available, the better we'll be ready to go for the states. So at this point, I want to talk a little bit about some rule updates from Special Olympics perspective specifically. There was only really one major one from Special Olympics updates. It involves the pitch shot for the individual skills level 1. That one station, you can see the change here. That used to be a 12-meter diameter circle where the target area, once you go over the banner and place in that circle. That has been shrunk to a 6-meter diameter circle, so that's pretty significant. So as you guys are setting up your stations and preparing your skills athletes, go ahead and start the season properly so that there's no surprises as we move along with the season. And that's just highlighted here in 2 other documents or 2 other slides, again, talking about that change from the 6-meter or from the 12-meter to now the 6-meter circle. So I really want to make sure those skills athletes and those skills coaches are aware of that so there's no surprises as we move throughout the season. And this is just a diagram that shows, again, to the far left, you can see 6-meter radius, or that should be 6-meter diameter. So again, that's a 6-meter circle, not a 12-meter circle. Here's some rule updates from the USGA. These are some that the sport management team that you saw the list of individuals earlier, we wanted to highlight. So, when you're dropping a ball, it used to be you would drop the ball from your shoulder height. Now they've said you can do from the knee height. So we think that's a good change for us. The other thing we wanted to highlight was if you have a lost ball, it used to be that you had 5 minutes to find it. I think with the pace of play and the interest of the game, that's been brought down to 3 minutes. And then the flag stick is another one. It used to be a 2 penalty stroke if you hit the flag. And right now, or the change is that there's no penalty flag or no penalty for hitting the flag, including when you're putting on the green. And there's some more information we'll have available to you as well. So the links for those rules are here. These are from our Coaches Resources page on our website, but these are the specific links here. The first one is the Special Olympics rules, which again is just that one for the individual skills pitch shot. And then the USGA rule highlights. The 3 or 4 that we just talked about in the previous slide are the highlights. There's others on that list that talk about other things that as coaches just be aware of. You can look through that at your leisure. Again, but these are the links. And again, they're also on our Coaches Resource page. So you can go to our website. Where's the link there? But again, that'll take you to the Coaches Resource page from these 2 specific links here. For questions in regards to the Golf State Championship, we're currently looking to fill the position that was vacated from Kendall as a sports director. In the interim, again, you have my information. Just send any questions to me. If I don't have the answers, I will do my best to find those, work with our golf management team, and provide that information that you as coaches are looking for. Again, our Coaches Resource page, this link here takes you straight to the golf page for the coaches. We always provide some information within our sports department here. If there's any questions, again, the sports director for golf, I'm serving in that position as well right now. Then we also, if you have, we know a lot of coaches serve in many different sports throughout the year with different programs. throughout the season. Here's the other two sports directors we have and what sports they oversee. So we always just like to provide that information as we talk to coaches, knowing that you may have other questions with other sports. So we'll take a look at some more information here real quick. These are just some of the forms and registrations so that you're aware of those if you're a new coach or if you're a veteran coach and haven't seen them for a while. So again, we always say work with the area leadership. They'll have all this information, but I'm not going to spend a lot of time on these upcoming slides. It's just to give you examples of what to be looking for and making sure that you're having the proper forms. So this is the athlete medical form. That'll be filled out from the physician. The area leadership should have those so that you guys can have hard copies and take those to your practices in case anything happens. You have the medical information right there to present to any other medical service providers that need to come and do anything with a situation. Again, the volunteers and coaches, we talked about that. There's the application form there. And again, your area leadership has all of these. So just ask them. They'll be happy to share this information for you. The minor release forms for volunteers as well. One of the things, the next slide is our incident report. This is something all coaches should have as well, just in case something happens, whether it's an injury or there's an issue with lost or stolen items, or if you damage any property, that kind of stuff. This is something from a liability standpoint you should fill out, return to your area leadership, send it off to our insurance company, and make sure that we have all the documentation we need in case there's any follow-up that needs to occur. So always have one of those along with the athlete medicals as you go on. So as we talked about a golf specific sport training, here's the course here. The link is available right there in the middle of the slide. It is $49.99. Special Olympics Maryland will reimburse coaches up to $20 for that course. It's a great course, so something to look at as well to continue your professional development as a golf coach, and good stuff there. So there's information. Here's the whole list of the ASEP courses that are available, just as a reference point. And again, this just talks, as Mike talked about, the training and et cetera. What we will say is we know that we're not the end-all, be-all of expertise in the sport of golf or any sport. If there is another course that you're aware of, not saying those are the only sport-specific trainings that would count towards the certifications. If you know of a situation or something that you think is valuable one way or the other, send it along to me. We'll vet it out, and if it's something that we think we will approve as an additional course that would take care of that certification, we'll put that in the files and include it as we move forward throughout the year. So, yeah, again, just one of those things. We're always looking for new, innovative ways to get training and get information out to the coaches. So, at this point, I know we ran through it pretty quickly. We thank you guys for all of your dedication to the athletes partners. The one thing I didn't mention is on those qualifying competitions. What you will see on the coach's resource page as well, and your area leadership is aware of this, for those competitions, okay, so there's going to be limited tee times at some of those. So the first right of refusal goes to the host county. Once all of their athletes and partners and everything are in place, then it opens up to kind of a first come, first serve. So there's a request for participation form that is on the website, and you can ask your area leadership to hand that in to me. What that does not do is it does not guarantee once you send it to me that you are in place for that competition. Get them in as early as you can, because the other thing we do is it's like that first come, first serve, but as we move out throughout the season, don't wait to say, I'm going to do this one in Howard County, I'm going to wait till that last one in the season at Montgomery County to get my last qualifying competition in. What may happen is you may miss the boat on it. We don't want to have anybody not be able to move on to the state championships because they missed a qualifying competition. The other thing that will occur is we always say get more in, if possible, than your minimum of 2. So as we move throughout the season, there'll be some who already have their 2 qualifying competitions in place, and the tee times for the next one that they're trying to get a third one in, which is great. it may come down to, okay, these few teams haven't had their second qualifying competition yet, so they will get first dibs on that, if you will. And as we get later in the season, if more tee times open up to people trying to get their third or possibly fourth qualifying competition, that'll be in place. But just know that's kind of the order of how people get their tee times, and we'll communicate that out to you, whether it's from me or from the area director or the area golf committee who is hosting those competitions. Again, as coaches, it's your dedication. Special Olympics Maryland and Special Olympics in general doesn't occur, without your dedication, your support, your leadership as coaches for the athletes and partners, and for our area directors and all the volunteers. We can't thank you enough for what you do. And for all the partners, we know that it's great to get out on the course, as with all unified sports, to compete hand in hand with the athletes. So we really appreciate everything you do. And again, without you, Special Olympics doesn't happen. So at this point, I'm going to see Zach's been monitoring any questions. Looks like we may have a question.
When can we send in the request for participation form? Last year it was, I think, the Monday prior to competition. Are you taking them earlier than that?
Yeah, the question, if you didn't hear that, was how early can you send in the request for participating at one of the qualifying competitions? This year, what we're looking at doing is it would be no later. We're hoping to get them the Thursday a week out, so like 9 days out. I know last year it was the Monday or Tuesday of the week leading up to that weekend with the qualifying competition. We're backing that up a little bit so that I can get that information out, communicate that to the area or county who's hosting that competition, work on tee times and that. So that will be communicated. We'll look to put that on the form itself. But yeah, the earlier the better. But at least the Thursday, not leading into the weekend, but a weekend back. So about that 9 to 10 day range out from when that event will take place.
One more. For the pitch shot, I'm assuming the scoring remains the same.
Yeah, exactly. If you go to our website with the Special Olympics rules, all the scoring remains the same. It's just that circle diameter has been shrunk down a little bit. So yeah, all the scoring and all the other stuff for all the other levels and everything else remains the same.
Bill Lowe has his hand up. I'm going to open him up.
And we have one of our sport management team members, Bill Lowe, wants to mention something. We unmuted you, Bill, and I think you just unmuted yourself. So if you have anything additional, go for it.
Yes. Can you hear me okay?
We got you.
So I just wanted to point out, I saw on the qualifiers that you had Cedar Point levels 2 through 5.
Mm-hmm.
Cedar Point I listed as 1 through 5, I think. If not, that's a mistake that I'll fix because it's levels 1 through 5. That's Cedar Point.
Gotcha. Thank you very much, Bill. We'll make that. So that was levels 1 through 5?
Yes.
Okay, very good. Might have been just a typo on our end or your end, but we'll fix that out.
Thank you much.
Thank you very much, Bill.
One more question.
Oh, and we got one more question coming in.
Completed the coaches training in June 2018. Has that been updated in the system?
There is a question about an update for an individual in regards to their certification. I tell you what, you have my email address in these slides. Email me directly, and I can look into the system, and we can take that offline and let you know what the status is on that. Again, I think, looks like either we did a really good job or you guys are all tired after dinner. But again, thank you so much. Don't hesitate to reach out to me. You've got my email address with any questions coming up. We're here to serve you guys as coaches and make your job easy with getting to the competitions, doing the training. So thank you very much, and have a good evening, everyone.